Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Today we're going to be starting the infrared remote and the infrared sensor activity. Okay, so right now I have, again, there are three options for the ending process of this. One of them is using your remote to control the number on a 7-segment display. So like if I press the number 0, it goes to 0. If I press 5, it displays 5. If I press 9, it displays 9. Alright, so as I go through these different numbers here, it will display, whatever I have. The other option you have is to be able to control with the remote and have it control a speaker to make different notes. And then the third option is to use the remote to control the RGB LED to produce different light outputs. You only need to do one of those three options. And any of them is as good as any of the other. It's really a matter of your choice, which you prefer to do. Alright, so let's start walking us through this process here real quick, and then you guys can get started. Okay, so this is the IR remote and receiver document. Okay, the first thing we're going to do today is load our IR remote zip library into our Arduino IDE. You're going to wire the IR sensor based upon page 3 in the PDF. And then you're going to copy and paste the IR remote base code, edit the heading, and then you're going to upload the code and test it. Okay, so then when we look at the wiring of this receiver, the receiver is in the bottom right bin of our Arduino bin. It looks like this. It's like this little itty-bitty circuit. It has 3 pins on the back, and it has this like black LED looking thing that has a little bit of a metal cage around it. Okay, and this is an infrared sensing LED. Infrared light is light that we cannot see. Okay, this is the same way that everything is controlled from like TVs to anything with an IR remote. Anything with like a little IR LED at the end of it. Okay, so that's the only thing that needs to get wired in for the first part of this system. Again, make sure that the G is going to ground, make sure that the R is going to 5 volts, and make sure that the Y, is it Y? Yep, the Y, whatever that is going to pin number 11. Okay, so let's grab the folder. Again, don't click any of this stuff here. We're going to say open a new window to grab this library, and we're going to hit the download button. It's going to download that library. We're then going to go into here, and we're going to load that library. So we're going to go up to Sketch, Include Library, Add Zip Library. You're going to go to your Downloads, and in this case, that thing was called IR remote.zip. Okay, so find the IR remote, say open. Mine's already in there, so it's giving me an error, but yours is going to load up from there. Okay, so that's the first step. Second step you need to go through here is you need to load a code that I've given you. Okay, so inside of your IR remote base code, we're going to grab this, select it all, copy it, and we're going to bring it into here, select it all, paste it. Okay, time to update what's going on at the top. IR, so this is period 548. IR remote base code, read the value of the IR remote, and print it to the serial number. Okay, that's the base code here. Connect the IR receiver data pin to digital IO 11. Alright, that's really all we need. So, the very first thing that's going to happen here is that in the setup, it's going to check and make sure that there is a IR sensor connected to your system, and it will say enabled IR in. Okay, so first it says enabling, then it's like working on getting it enabled, and then once it is enabled, it will say enabled IR in. Down below here, for right now we're just printing the values of our different numbers. Okay, so if the IR receiver decode and results. Okay, so it's going to serial print the results in a hexadecimal value. So hexadecimal counts from 0 to 16, or from 0 to 15 rather. And if you remember when we talked about binary, we talked about hexadecimal as well. Basically it goes 0 through 9, and then A through F for the additional numbers from 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so that's A through F. So 15 is here. Whenever you push an IR remote, whether it's for like your TV or for anything else, what it's really doing is sending a hexadecimal code to like your TV, and then the TV interprets that code and does something with it. So when we press the serial monitor, it says enabling IR, and then it says enabled IR in, so it's ready to go. If I press the 0 button, it gives me this code FF6897. If I press it again, it'll say FF6897. While I hold the button, it keeps printing out these Fs. So those Fs allow us to know that we're holding the button. But honestly, we really care about these numbers right here. Okay, so this is my 0 command. So in the worksheets, you'll see I actually am going to put this in for you guys right now. I'm going to paste that in there. 0 is 0x, which stands for hexadecimal code. They refer to this as ox, but it's really a 0 and an F. So 0 times basically FF, which are the first 2 digits within this process, 6897. Okay, and if I were to go back to here, and let's say that I press the number 1 so that my sensor can read it, it is FF30CF. So I could go back into this worksheet, I can type FF, whatever it is, C0, FF30CF, right? So I could FF30CF, I can fill that in. Okay, so you need to fill in, first thing that you guys need to do is you need to go through and you need to fill in this entire chart from 1 through 0. And leave the 0 and the X in there, just type what comes in after that into your system, right? So all of that is happening, just press the number 0, write the number 0 down, press the number 1, write the number 1 down, press the number 2, write the number 2 down, and so on and so forth. These codes are going to be related to these. Once you have completed that, then you can start to modify your code, right? So inside of here, I've left an if statement for you guys. It's in different stuff. Okay, so it says if results.value. Okay, so it's looking for the value of the results. If it's equal to OX, and it says place hex code here. Like, let's grab the hex code for number 1. So, let's grab the hex code for 0. Grab that, we'll replace all of this. And press number 0. Then we can have it, any instructions that we want to do when we press 0 should be put in here. Okay, so let's just upload this code, and I would save this and whatnot, but all I really care about right now is when I press the number 0, not only will it print out the FF6897, but it's also going to say press number 0. Okay, so let's go up to here. I press the 0, and you can see it brings my code up, and it also says pressed number 0. So you would create an if statement for all 10 of your options. If it's 0, if it's 1, if it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I would definitely put a label in here, like serial print ln 0, serial print ln 1. Like, get that stuff to work out. And then once you've checked and you made sure that things are like printing the way that you expect it to when you press the different buttons, then you can move on to one of the tasks. Okay, so there are 3 tasks that you guys can work on. The first task is the one that I've done. I've wired a 7-segment display to my Arduino. You can just follow 7-segment display stuff from before. Have the 7-segment display any one of the 10 numbers, 0 through 9, on the display corresponding with the button on the remote, right? So when I press 0, it should say 0. When I press 9, it should say 9, so on and so forth. Okay. Option number 2, wire the RGB LED to your Arduino and display the following colors based upon the numbers. So when you press the number 0, that should be the color white. For white, red, green, and blue should all be on top. Red, it's obviously just red. That's number 1. 2 is blue. 3 is green. 4 is purple. In order to get purple to run right, you're going to use a little bit of red and like a decent chunk of blue. So like analog right your blue, maybe like 255, while you analog right your red, like 125. It will. The red needs to be a lower level for the blue to work so you can see purple. Teal and yellow are pretty easy. They can just be green and blue for teal. You probably can just like digitally write both behind. For the yellow, it's going to be red. Then option number 3, if you want to do music, is basing things off of the tone. Basically here I have 10 different notes and essentially like an octave scale going from C4 all the way up to A4. So when you press 0, it's going to be C4, 1 is going to be CS4, all the way up to 9, which is going to be A4. So again, you're just going to select one of those options, comment your code. This is going to be the thing that gets turned into. Okay? When you type in your top, when you're filling in your heading, please make sure to include what option you're using and all of the information about where it's wired to and everything else. All of those things are going to require more wiring on your system than what you currently have. Okay? And at the end, you should either be able to display numbers, you should either be able to display colors, or you should be able to display notes by only pressing different buttons on your remote. Oh, one last thing to talk about. There's a little plastic shield inside of this remote. You need to pull that out so that the remote will work and so that the remote has power. If you guys have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to me as we go through. Right now, I think that that's quite a bit of information that you're going to need. So good luck to everybody. Let me know how it goes.